the absolute secret of the ancient Greek theater of Epidaurus, which is found just a little bit south of Corinth in Greece. Nowadays, it's one of the most famous tourist and archaeological sites in Greece. It used to be the place of healing. It was like a healing center. You would go there to confess, to have fasting, to have daily baths, to have shows of art together with music, and to see theaters, the tragedy and the comedy every day, having to do with bringing out the problems of everyday people so that you would bring them out and feel sad about them, then you would laugh at them with the comedy. Now, so the total area of Epidaurus is multi-level. It's built on a hillside, and it's basically the hillside is was very easily turned into a theater. Multi-level, with each level seeming to operate autonomously, at the same time, though, altogether seem to be part of a wider mechanism. Now, we have found such Greek ancient theaters all over the world, all over Europe, all the way even to China. And just yesterday, I posted a video on an ancient Greek theater they found in the desert of Peru, of all places. And, of course, North America, South America, even Africa. Kindly support my Patreon account since YouTube has again demonetized my YouTube channel. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below. Now, there was a guest house with 150 rooms. You know, these people would travel there in the ancient days, so they had to have a place to stay. They had 150 rooms there in Epidaurus, public baths, a stadium, a 20,000 seat theater, and of course the famous dome. The center where the cures took place was called Avaton. And in Avaton, 80 meters long, the inauguration took place. Hypnotherapy took place there. It was a place where the miracles actually happened and the patients became healthy. Hypnotherapy? That's the first time I've ever heard of it. Hypnotherapy. Now, those who were healed perpetuated what happened to them with thanksgiving to the gods in marble columns, often describing supernatural healings and interventions. Today, many of them exist in their original places or are exhibited in the Museum of Epidaurus. It's therefore very important to see what was mentioned in some of them, choosing some very special features. Ambrosia from Athens was one-eyed. He came as a beggar to the god. When he returned to the sanctuary, he laughed, and I considered it impossible for the paralyzed and blind to be healed, he said. After he had slept in the sanctuary, he came out with 2 healed eyes. How is that possible? Evippus carried the tip of a spear on his knee for 6 years. He slept in the hospital, and when it dawned, he came out healthy. Hermodicus from Lampsaco, with a paralyzed body, when he slept in the sanatorium, Asclepius healed him. Asclepius was the god of health, as we know. Asclepius helped, so this was the Asclepians. These were the healing centers, and that's where they had the theaters. Wherever you have the ancient Greek theaters, obviously, there were other buildings around there which were part of such a healing center, whether it was in Peru or in China or in North America, South America, Europe, Africa, etc. But it's the theaters that are very easily found. So the god they had was Asclepius. He had his methods of healing people. Now, so he suggested when he went out, he should take to the sanctuary the largest stone he could find. So he brought the one in front of the sanctuary. Alcetas was from Alies. He was blind and slept in the sanctuary, and when it dawned, he came out healthy. Akrati from Laconia, instead, she had the droop. Instead, her mother slept while she was in Lacedaemonia, and had a dream. So, Akrati was from Laconia, that's Sparti. The Lacedaemonians were Spartans. So her mother slept while she was in Sparta, and she had a dream. So her mother went to the therapeutic center, the Asclepion, instead of the daughter, and the mother prayed for the daughter, you see, who was still at the area of Sparta. And when the mother returned home, her daughter was healthy. They had the same dream. As Hines climbed a tree to look out the window at what was happening inside, the avatar. The avatar means that you cannot go in. Okay. However, he fell from the tree on a sharp log and destroyed both his eyes. Blind, he ran to Avaton and begged the god, and he was healed. Aristocritus from Alies, his son had reopened to the sea to the point where there was no way back. When his father could no longer find the boy, he slept near Asclepius in the sanatorium. When he came out, he found his son safe and sound. What was happening in this area of Epidaurus? Miracles were performed in other healing centers in ancient Greece, but also in much of the ancient world around the world. Similar incidents are reported in the modern world in other cultures that do not have the same religion or belief. Consequently, now we overlook the fact that vast majority of churches are built on or next to ancient shrines or Asclepia, although it may play no role or an important role. Now, reading the signs we've listed and distinguish the following very important elements from these ancient areas that were for the most part, made on ley lines, magnetic knots of the earth. A, the patient was not necessarily faithful, but laughed and mocked what was happening until he realized the truth of the sanctuary itself, such as ambrosia. B, some kind of surgery took place, which was probably done either with appropriate medical tools or even with divine or bloodless surgery through the therapist, as we have sometimes heard done today. As we said before, they had hypnotherapy. C, it's very important to note that the patient could be many kilometers away while the place of the sleeping person was taken by someone else, as in the case of Arati. D, those concerned did not have to get sick, as in the case of Aristocritus, who lost his son at sea, although it's very likely that he was half drowned while fighting the waves. What was it that showed him to orient himself, but in addition gave him the physical strength to return back to land? Conclusions: faith was not necessary. All kinds of diseases were treated even without the patient being there. Mental clarity and physical strengthening were given from a distance. Today, this place does not function as a sanatorium, but as a common archaeological site for tourists. However, the area did not lose either its glamour or any of its strength. There, at least, an incident where, in our modern age, a woman begged the guard to lay down in the area for a health problem she had, and she was cured. If, moreover, we trust Eric von Däniken from his book In the Name of Zeus, even the French president François Mitterrand went to Epidaurus in all secrecy in order to cure some of his illnesses. However, it was not known whether his controversial issue was resolved or to which god he turned. Now, the absolute secret of Epidaurus. What drives the healing there? A deep inner belief, a prayer, a petition, focused thinking, a desire for a miracle, a higher level of consciousness to which the person concerned comes, the general feeling of deep trust, the evocative power of the subconscious. Is it a matter of self-submission? But why couldn't all this happen in everyone's home or in other random places? Did a god really come down, quote unquote, and do the unbelievable? Did the doctors have the absolute knowledge, or did they help depending on the case? The two examples of François Mitterrand and the unknown woman show that the human presence of specialist healers as was done in antiquity, was not necessary. Possibly then, two things contribute to the absolute secret of Epidaurus, possibly to other similarly powerful places of power: the human will and the location itself. The place hides in it energies that some people located and then built the appropriate buildings onto, the dome, the theater, etc., in the appropriate places in order for these energies to be utilized in the best possible way. Let's remember the reason, before I go into the rest of the article, remember why the Greek temples had columns? Because people would go to those temples for healing as well. And those columns had iron bars in them, melted iron put in them. But those columns, again, those temples were built on ley lines. Those columns would bring out the earth energy, and the earth energy would transmit through the columns. So when these people would stand between the columns and even touch the columns, if they could, because some of them are quite far apart, they would be healed. So I guess if they just leaned on a column, or if the columns were close enough that they could touch both columns, yes, they would be healed. And let's remember, even the temple in Jerusalem had columns. Now, going back to this, the mystery. So the ancients had knowledge of these earth energies and ley line energies. We don't yet. And also they had hypnosis, right? Now, the mystery that some places hide nature grid of earth, they are built on ley lines, also the ley lines of Hartmann, mineral wealth, etc., and in the sacred geometry that connects them all together. The will of man was connected with these energies, and with the help of therapists, in many cases, the cure was achieved. If in fact we take into account the analysis of the rewritten name of EPIDAURUS as acting on the aura, according to Mrs. Atlani, then we obtain a more global picture, as it is an aura that gets sick first, and then the body follows getting sick. So EPIDAURUS and such healing centers of the ancient world were basically tapping into the earth's energies to cure the person's aura, which used to get sick before the body got sick. Isn't that something? And we again don't know this today. Medicine is not aware of this fact today. So obviously the ancients knew a lot more about energies, frequencies, ley lines. And remember what Nikola Tesla says, when you start working and thinking of frequencies, that's when everything is going to change. So all this, the article says, all this is connected to the soul of man and the location. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. I've again translated this for you from a Greek article.